Hello and good afternoon. It's time for Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Patterson. Today we'll join Here and Now reporter Joanne Magley for some insight about the newly renovated Daytona Beach Pier and why you should go if you haven't already. Then it's over to health reporter Stephanie Strong for some tips about how to control the amount of sodium you get in your diet. And finally, we'll join Community Information Director Dave Byron in the studio for a discussion with his guest, Steve Cooke, Director of Business Development with the Daytona Beach International Airport. So we hope you'll stick around for those segments, news, and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine. Stay tuned. Success story after success story. That was the scene at the one-year anniversary celebration for the UCF Incubator Program, July 27th at the Daytona Beach International Airport. The UCF Incubator has come a long way in just its first year. There are 11 clients and more applications are pending. The facility can house up to 21 clients. The incubator, which is at 601 Innovation Way on the east side of the airport, is operated by the University of Central Florida in partnership with the county. The incubator program provides mentoring and, in many cases, office space to companies in the startup phase of their business. The anniversary event, which was supported by area business sponsorships, included a proclamation by the Volusia County Council for Entrepreneurs Day and the awards ceremony. Bestie Products, whose main office and production plant are in Edgewater, was honored with the incubator's inaugural Entrepreneur of the Year award. The company, led by founder and CEO Rob Skelton, now has its eye eraser product available through Amazon.com. Rob Earhart, manager of Volusia County's Division of Economic Development, said the UCF Incubator Program helps to grow businesses in the county and to create jobs for local residents.
A business incubator statistically has been shown to improve the success of startup businesses by over a factor of 2. Statistically, the figures are about 35% plus businesses fail after the first year, and businesses that are part of an incubator, by comparison, their success is more in the 80 to 85% range. So our hope is that all of these businesses will graduate and move out into the community, stay here within Volusia County, the borders of Volusia County, regardless of what city that might be, and become employment opportunities or create employment opportunities for the citizens throughout the county.
Another incubator client, Best3Bids.com, officially launched its construction bid website at the event. The website simplifies the process of getting 3 bids for residential and commercial construction projects. For more information about the UCF Business Incubator at the Daytona Beach International Airport, you can call 386-872-3101. Volusia County's primary election is August 14th, but you don't have to wait until then to vote. Registered voters can beat the rush by voting early.
Early voting is offered throughout Florida in all 67 counties. In Volusia County, our early voting starts on Saturday, August 4th for the primary, and it goes 8 days. It's also open on Sunday. We're having early voting at 5 sites. That would be my office at the Department of Elections in DeLand, Ormond Beach Library, Daytona City Island Library, New Smyrna Beach Library, and the Deltona Library. We're offering 1 early voting site in each county council district. That's why we have 5 sites. For the primary, it's open from 8:30 to 4:30, but for the general, we're going to have 12-hour days, which is from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the same 5 sites.
For more information about early voting, please call the Department of Elections at 386-736-5930, or you can visit volusia.org/elections. The county currently has 320,000 registered voters. To prepare for the large influx of voters, the department has been testing its automatic tabulating equipment, which includes optical scanners, touchscreen units, and electronic voting ID units.
We're doing what's referred to as the logic and accuracy testing. All equipment that will be used in any election in Florida has to be tested. It has been tested 100% in the past 10 days. Today, particularly, we're doing the public testing where the public comes in, they randomly select units. The canvassing board is here being directly involved as well. We're making sure that every piece of equipment that's going to be put out at the precincts and early voting sites is in good order.
Additionally, the county's canvassing board recently oversaw the testing of 10% of the equipment that will be used during the August 14th primary.
Well, what we want is a fair election. We want to do our best to make sure that everyone who wants to vote has a chance to vote, and to, wherever possible, if there's any dispute, to resolve it in favor of casting or making sure that a person's intent is reflected in their vote. We also need to make sure that the laws are followed to make sure that we have a valid election, one that people can be confident in.
For more information about changing your voter information or registering to vote, please call the Department of Elections at 386-736-5930, or you can visit volusia.org/elections. The Volusia County Ocean Center once again hosted several youth conferences in June and July, bringing thousands of young people to the Daytona Beach area. This past week, New Spring Church presented the Gauntlet 2012, a 5-day conference for middle and high school students. Throughout the week, students participated in educational sessions led by the group's pastors, as well as worship sessions led by New Spring Fuse Band.
2,700 young people come for a religious conference here, training and convention experience here, and they learn good things and take them back to their community to help their communities out. It's a very refreshing event in that you got a lot of youth that come here when there's so many things going wrong in today's world that they're spending their time doing good things, and it's a very heartening experience to see these young people spend their time well.
And if you want an idea about what an economic boost this was, Ovation's Food Service, the exclusive caterer for the Ocean Center, served 11,132 meals over 4 days. That included 1,350 pounds of ground beef, 640 pounds of green beans, 6,000 chocolate chip and peanut butter cookies, and 15,600 bottles of water and soda. So if those bottles were laid down end to end, they would stretch nearly 1.5 miles.
Ovations is a company that's owned by Comcast Spectacor. They are a dynamic outfit. I've never had another food service outfit that does the quality with a smile on their face the way they do. They're terrific to work with.
For more information about the Ocean Center and a calendar of events, log on to oceancenter.com.
Welcome to Volusia County Beaches, a place to have fun. From swimming in the ocean to building a sandcastle, surfing, or just walking along the beach. Enjoy your visit and please help keep our beaches clean and safe for all, including the sea turtles. Put litter in its place, fill in all holes, and remove beach equipment and furniture. This will ensure there are no obstacles for people walking or sea turtles using the beach at night. Leave nothing but footprints and come back often.
Residents and visitors have a new reason to flock to the world's most famous beach, the newly renovated Daytona Beach Pier. Joanne Magley has more on this historical landmark in this week's Volusia Here and Now report.
The pier in Daytona Beach originally opened on July 11, 1925, but closed in 2009 to undergo an extensive renovation. Suzanne Hetty, a local historian, says it was a major event when the pier first opened 87 years ago.
And it was quite an event, as you can imagine, for people to come out here and see a new pier. And with everything that was happening in 1925, it was a very exciting time. Growing up as a teenager, you come out here for dances on the pier. The Almonds played out here, Almond Joys. And then you come outside and cool off, and then go back and do some more dancing, you know, and then walk on the boardwalk. And it's always been magic.
There was actually a pier built on this same site before the turn of the century. The original pier, constructed of palm logs, extended 600 feet into the ocean. It was built by Thomas Keating and was known as the Keating Pier. But on January 20th, 1920, a fire destroyed most of the pier, And 4 years later, what was left was sold to Jeter McMillan, who tore it down and began construction on the new pier and casino. The pier has changed ownership several times since McMillan died in 1946. In 2004, it was acquired by the city of Daytona Beach, which then leased it to a corporate sponsor. In 2009, the city took operational control of the pier and began the renovation process. The new Daytona Beach Pier officially reopened June 5th of this year, along with a new restaurant, Joe's Crab Shack, and the rooftop bar. The Daytona Beach Pier is one of the most recognizable landmarks in the area because it stretches out over the world's most famous beach. The city of Daytona Beach spent $6 million on the project, which involved fixing the structure piece by piece, adding an elevator, turning the roof into a dining and bar space, removing asbestos, and bringing the facility up to current codes. The building can now withstand a Category 2 hurricane. The city says Joe's Crab Shack invested several million more on customizing the interior of the restaurant. Daytona Beach's mayor says the pier and restaurant will ultimately attract more businesses to the area.
In the heart of our community, of our tourist area, it could become a linchpin for a lot of other businesses to locate here because, you know, activity draws other opportunity for people. So we're confident that that's really what's going to happen here.
From a historical perspective, Hetty says the pier has always been the image that resonates with residents and visitors.
It's like our Eiffel Tower. You see this image and this boardwalk and you know where you are. You know exactly where you are.
And you can't have a pier without fishing. Current fishing is allowed on the east end of the pier. There is no cost and fishing licenses are not required. For Volusia Here and Now, I'm Joanne Magley.
And for all of you fishermen out there, the east end of the pier is open 7 days a week for fishing. From March 16th through October 31st, it's open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And from November 1st through March 15th, it's open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Some folks here in Volusia County may be putting too much sodium in their everyday diet. Too much salt and sodium is unhealthy for you, and excessive salt intake has proven to be a major contributor to heart attack and stroke, the first and third leading causes of death in the United States. Health reporter Stephanie Strong takes a closer look at ways to help control your sodium intake in this segment of Community Health Matters.
When you eat that next meal, pay attention to the sodium. You don't want too much. It can make you sick and cause health problems.
Sodium chloride, which is salt, can elevate one's blood pressure. And an elevated blood pressure leads to heart disease, stroke, and potential kidney damage. And those are the leading causes of death in this country. So it's very important for folks to be mindful of salt. We not only have salt in the salt shaker, but also hidden salt in our food. And we really should try to decrease the amount of salt in our diet down to 2,300 milligrams, which was really only about a teaspoon, to avoid high blood pressure and the consequences of high blood pressure.
Hi, I'm Lisa Funches, Nutrition Program Director at the Volusia County Health Department. Before you eat that next meal, you might want to ask yourself, where's the sodium? One way to find out where the sodium is located is to read your nutrition fact label, as most of the sodium that is found in food is found in processed foods or restaurant foods. Here are some helpful tips. Limit foods that have 20% or more of the daily value of sodium. These foods are high in sodium. Limit the number of meals at fast food restaurants. Limit frozen dinners that are high in sodium. And do not add salt to foods for babies. Do not give babies foods that are high in sodium. By following these healthy eating tips, you and your family too can stay healthy.
Thanks, Lisa. To eat healthy, remember, stay away from foods that are high in sodium. Follow these easy cooking tips when preparing your meals. Use fewer sauces, mixes, instant products, condiments, and salad dressings which have added salt. Buy the no salt added or reduced sodium version of foods. Buy fresh poultry, fish, and lean meat rather than smoked, cured, or processed types. And choose fruit or vegetables at snack time instead of those salty snack foods. Also, make sure you eat foods high in potassium. Potassium can help with blood pressure. Foods high in potassium include bananas, potatoes, cantaloupes, dried apricots, orange juice, prunes, prune juice, tomato products, dry beans, peas, and lentils, honeydew melon, dried peaches, and those green leafy vegetables. Making the right food choices will help to decrease the sodium in your meals and your family's meals. A key to healthy eating is choosing and preparing foods lower in salt and sodium. For more information, please visit www.cdc.gov. For Volusia Magazine and on behalf of the Volusia County Health Department, your guide to better health, I'm Public Information Officer Stephanie Strong.
If you have any questions about this or any other health-related issues, you can always log on to volusiahealth.com. Well, now it's time to head into the studio to join Community Information Director Dave Byron for his discussion with Business Development Director Steve Cooke of the Daytona Beach International Airport.
Hi, Amber. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Passenger traffic at Daytona Beach International Airport continues on what's been a steady upward climb. Last month, the airport's major air carriers were flying in and out of our airport with virtually every seat filled. And this is good news as the airport pitches other carriers to start service here. Today, we'll get an update on air service at Daytona Beach International Airport, and we're very pleased to have with us in the studio Steve Cooke. He's the Business Development Manager at Daytona Beach International Airport. Steve, thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Dave.
Boy, I'll tell you what, in just a minute we're going to talk about air service, and it's a great story at the airport. But before we do that, Steve, I want to talk about the national landscape. Obviously, you got fuel prices, you got an economy that is still trying to recover. It's been tough times for the airline industry.
It's been a rocky road. You know, back in 2008, fuel went up to $147 a barrel. And it went way down during the recession, but now it's recovered about half of where it was. So it's a real factor in what airlines do and what they can do. Makes up about a half to a third of their operating costs. So it's a major thing, and we're not really sure at this point where it's going to go.
Right.
The last few months it's been kind of going down, but then it ticks up every. So we're not sure, and this creates some uncertainty in the minds of the air carriers. So. Hopefully it'll stay steady, and if it does, I think we're going to do just fine.
Certainly with the economic downturn, Steve, there were a lot of airports that lost air service. The passenger numbers went down. You know, but from what I'm seeing, like in Orlando, for example, they had a record number of tourists last year. Florida, big leisure destination. So I get the general feeling that things are starting to come back.
Tourism is doing pretty well. Orlando's numbers have come back. Ours have come back really nicely in the last 2 years. Out of the last 30 months, we've only had 3 months when we've seen a decline from the prior year. So last month it was a 12% increase over last June. So it's very positive. And as you said, you know, the seats are, I mean, we just don't have any seats. So we've been, you know, talking to Delta, talking to US Air about putting some more capacity as well as other airlines. There is more demand in Daytona Beach, and we'd like to see the carriers, Delta, US Airways, or perhaps a new entrant, come in and fill that demand because it's there and it's real and it's something the community needs.
I watch these numbers that you put out every month, and you know, I know, as you said, you know, things have been going really well for the last several months. But I mean, in the report last month, which stood out to me, I think it was Delta, was flying in and out of Daytona Beach at 98%.
Yeah, that was US Airways.
US Airways.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Delta was like 91, 92.
Okay, but have you ever seen 98%?
No, I really haven't. I mean, it's almost it's really. I almost don't believe 98%. I believe it because it's reported and we know where it's coming from, but it's normal to have a load factor of like 75%. A lot of them do at other airports. 85 is great, and 90 is super. Virtually are filling all the seats. 98 is just off the chart. And that's what we've seen with US Airways. So, you know, we're trying to say, hey, you need to put some more capacity, bigger planes. This market needs it. We can handle it, and we'd like you to consider it.
You know, sometimes, Steve, in years past, you know, the bigger planes, the higher seat capacity has been in the early part of the year and around the races and bike week. And then the air carriers have sort of ratcheted back a little bit. That's not the case this year.
No,
and the numbers are up. I mean,
we've seen our seasonality flatten out a little bit.
That's what I mean, yeah.
In Daytona Beach, and I think, you know, even in the fall, you know, we expect the fall to be the really down month. But we do get a tremendous amount of local traffic in the fall that has kind of bumped those numbers up. So the seasonal roller coaster that we've seen in past years is really more of a gently rolling hills, you know, if you might say. It's not as bad as it was, and I think it bodes well for the airlines because they need to make money all year round. They need to sell tickets, and that's what they're looking for. And I think we're starting to produce those kind of trends which are favorable.
And one of the things, Steve, that's very important out of Daytona Beach is to have the fares competitive.
Yes.
And those fares are very competitive with other airports.
They have been, yes.
In fact, in some cases even lower. When you add in the convenience factor, the lower parking fees and that sort of thing, it's a good deal.
The stress factor, the time factor, the fuel factor going to the other airports is a major thing, particularly for the business traveler. And what we've been able to do is we've really attracted a lot more of those types of business people who just don't want to spend the time, you know, going to another airport, spending all that time, spending all that effort, not to mention the stress. They'd rather use Daytona Beach International Airport, and then when they get home, they're really back home instead of some other location. So that's been working for us. We've tried to go after that market more and more, and I think that market is going to be something that actually grows in the future.
Steve, when you go out and call on other airlines for air service, what is your thought pattern in terms of what airlines or what routes would be preferable at Daytona Beach?
Well, I think we have a big hole in the New York market. We need nonstop service to New York. We can show, and we do show, that we can generate 140, 150 passengers every day each way to New York. I mean, we can do that. So we've been talking to Delta, we've been talking to JetBlue. JetBlue is listening to us. We're doing more with them. I actually spoke with them yesterday. And I think there's a very strong case for nonstop New York service. So we're going to keep pushing on that until somebody sees the light, looks at it, and operates there. And I think they're going to be a great success when they do. We've also been talking to American. We think that's another strong possibility. They are now in a bankruptcy situation, but it's not a typical bankruptcy situation. They have a lot of cash in the bank. They're buying new aircraft. They're trying to restructure their labor agreements and their other contracts so they can be competitive with the Deltas of this world and the Uniteds of this world. And that process is going on. But part of their thinking is they want to do more flying. And they're out in the marketplace looking for opportunities. We talked to them in June about Dallas. Perhaps they're interested in that, possibly Miami. So that's a real possibility down the road. If we had a nonstop to Dallas, that would open up the West for Daytona Beach and give us some great options out west. If we had Miami, it would open up the Caribbean and also Latin America. So those things are all possibilities looking down the road.
Has the economy affected the airport budget at all, Steve?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look back in 2008 when we hit that recession, our traffic went down. And we had to actually go into our reserves, for a couple of years. We really came out of that last year, and we're no longer using any of those reserve funds. So we're in a position now where we're trying to build up the reserve again. We keep it for those kinds of situations. And overall, the airport's doing well. I think this year it's going to do better than ever.
Steve, you mentioned these 500 acres on the airport property, which have very high commercial development potential.
Yes.
That may be the future in terms of economic development for the county, I would think.
I think it is. I think the airport and the area the airport is in is really an economic-centric area for Volusia County. It's absolutely that way. We've got Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, the #1 aeronautical university on the planet. They're expanding. They're in a multi-year $200 million expansion program. We're working with them on the next gen. We've leased them space for the next gen facility. They're doing that. They're doing things in unmanned systems at the college. So it's really a going concern. And I think with their research park, they have a 77-acre research park that's coming online. Going to start that development this year. They're going to be doing very well, and I think they're going to be attracting the kind of jobs to Volusia County that we all want to see. And it's going to be a very positive thing for certainly the airport, but really for the whole region.
Yeah, you look at what Embry-Riddle is doing, and as you say, Steve, unless you're intimately aware of what they're doing, people just don't understand the incredible things that take place at Riddle.
Right.
You've got that next-gen facility there, which you touched on, which is like the future of aviation.
It is. They have to really get the air navigation systems off the ground and into the satellite picture to increase capacity, not just here but worldwide.
Right.
And they're working on that. There's a place in New Jersey is working on that, in Texas, and they're working on that jointly to create, solve some of the very, very tough problems associated with that. But they're making progress. They've got a great facility here. Some of the best minds in the country are working on that today. So we're very encouraged by that, and we think there's a lot of spin-off with that, with the research park and with other things they may do in the future, which is all going to be good for Volusia County and this region.
And right next to that next-gen facility, of course, is the county's business incubator.
Absolutely.
Which is a tie-in with UCF.
It's a tie-in, and it's a great thing for the community. It's had tremendous performance, really, in terms of the numbers of businesses that are helping now. And I think that's going to continue, because what we're going to see is really, I think, more of these people. We're going to retain them here in Volusia County. They're going to grow and prosper here rather than going to some other place, as has been so often the case in the past. So it's a great asset for the community, great asset for the airport.
So if people are thinking about taking an air travel trip, Steve, I guess the one thing you want them to do is to check the fares out of Daytona Beach.
They've got no better choice than Daytona Beach International Airport.
So for people that want to do that, Steve, what's your website?
Website, flydaytonafirst.com, or you can go to delta.com or usairways.com.
Well, Steve, it sounds like overall things are going quite well at the airport.
Yeah, we're very encouraged.
Want to thank you for sharing the information with us today.
Well, thank you, Dave, for inviting me.
Our guest today, Steve Cooke. He's the Business Development Manager at Daytona Beach International Airport. And again, that website is flydaytonafirst.com. And with that, we'll go back to you, Amber.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about our program, just give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org. You can also watch the show online. Just go to volusia.org and click on the Volusia Magazine icon. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today, Volusia County Government's public information radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. And finally, we'd like to invite you to the next Volusia County Council meeting, which is scheduled for Thursday, August 9th at 9 a.m. in the County Council chambers in DeLand. Public participation is welcome. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson. Have a great evening.